The Walking Dead, Saint and Sinners Retribution Chapter 2. The most awaited, the king of VR games is here on PSVR2. Never before have we seen such a verbose title communicate so much while saying so little. Now, let me tell you, it's not only stunning, it's one of the best VR games on PlayStation VR2, thanks to its sharp, critical clear textures, environmental details, and effects like these dark and black shadows. I mean, it's truly stunning! I'm sure you would love it on your new PSVR2 headset. The new features to Chapter 2 are considerably easier to enjoy now that they've been released from the MetaQuest 2, where they were previously exclusive. The ugly era of fog, clay-like textures, poor performance, frequent crashes, and lengthy load times have all vanished on PSVR2, with the exception of a few low-resolution elements. The hardware boost is borderline transformational. If you've been waiting for Chapter 2 to be at its best, consider your wait over. Now we want to emphasize as plainly as possible that Chapter 2 is fantastic with that monstrosity of a game. It's more saints and sinners with more darkspawn tools to play with, gratifyingly stressful nighttime missions, and more reasons to risk life and limb, exploring the undead inhabited streets of New Orleans. The plot is brief, and the new elements are few, but the strong saints and sinners core makes this a punishment worth seeing to the end. The gunplay is equally proficient and works best against the much more swift human adversaries that live in the crumbling city streets and structures. Adjustable triggers and haptic feedback work together to make every trigger pull seem significant. Whether it's a carelessly placed headshot or a pot shot around a corner, you're treated to a feast of lethal playthings to take for a spin and experiment with when you add in Chapter 2's new chainsaw or grenade launcher. Saints and Sinners fighting is excellent, and a core of surprisingly satisfying resource management elevates it even further. There are many items in post-apocalyptic New Orleans that may be recycled to create resources that can be then used to make weapons, ammunition, or improvements at your school bus base of operations. Red Eyes need to go back out and loot a little more after emptying your pack of junk and converting it into useful resources that bring you a little bit closer to the next upgrade you've been eyeing up. In Saints and Sinners, scrap objects are common, while treasures and essential supplies are few, which frequently causes tense moments. While exploring one of the game's self-contained locations, there are a lot of obstacles you must overcome, such as low stamina, breakable weapons, and a small amount of inventory space. Together, these mechanisms make escaping unhurt seem like a small miracle, but each one of them is a difficulty that may be solved with careful planning or covert investigation. Almost everything that makes Chapter 2 so fantastic is also what makes the original game so fantastic.
Nice.
The only thing that remotely resembles a sequel in this chapter is the entirely new tale, because the gameplay hasn't changed much and there aren't many new places to discover. Retribution takes place shortly after the events of its original, with you once again colonizing the role of the otherwise nameless tourist, tasked with running errands for various folks around the flooded remains of New Orleans, Louisiana, while uncovering more details about the remorseless faction in power, labeled the Tower. The plot is too unimportant to serve as much of a driving force, with the exception of the superb usage of Axeman as an opponent who is constantly on the lookout and the dramatic climax. It essentially amounts to being led down a string of fetch expeditions for a few uninteresting characters with conversation choices that only let you select the level of irony you want to employ in your response. Chapter 2 includes fewer prominent decision points than the first chapter, and none of them affect the game significantly. The great variety of unpleasant moral problems isn't duplicated in Chapter 2, but there's one significant new addition in the form of nighttime adventures. You can now visit 2 locations during in-game day instead of simply one, with the second stop occurring around twilight when undead hordes are unavoidable, but rare commodities are available. That fits well into the risk-reward balancing act of Saints and Sinners and allows for even more stunning moments of desperation as you push through undead hordes in the dark to try and make it out alive with the spoils of your journey. Now, in my opinion, Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 isn't exactly a full-fledged sequel on PSVR2, and it doesn't offer anything to advance the genre, but it's still an exceedingly delightful extra serving of walker-slaying amusement. Its mix of fresh improvements and surprises make post-apocalyptic New Orleans worth revisiting, especially if you skip the first Quest 2 release in favor of a more polished, well-performing, and visually appealing product. Because the new version on PSVR 2 is a real joy. What's your thoughts on Chapter 2 of Saints and Sinners? Let me know in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next one.